On Tuesday, Congresswoman Cori Bush of Missouri confirmed that the Department of Justice is investigating her campaign's spending on security services.
I have endured relentless threats to my physical safety and life. As a rank-and-file member of Congress, I am not entitled to personal protection by the House and instead have used campaign funds as permissible to retain security services. I have not used any federal tax dollars for personal security services. Any reporting that I have used funds for personal security is simply false.
Representative Bush acknowledged that she retained her husband as part of her security team, saying he has had extensive experience in this area and is able to provide the necessary services at or below a fair market rate. She also accused right-wing opponents of lodging baseless complaints against her and noted that the Independent Office of Congressional Ethics had investigated the matter and unanimously voted to dismiss it. Joining me now is Congresswoman Cori Bush of Missouri. Thank you so much for being here, Congresswoman. Let's talk about this for just a moment. I want to start with the fact that the Independent Congressional Ethics Office cleared this matter. How did it then proceed to an investigation by the DOJ?
So what happened was there is someone who made a complaint. They sent the complaint, I believe it was to the FEC, which that moves really slowly, is what I hear. Mm-hmm. And so because nothing had happened. They didn't see any movement. Right. They decided, and there are articles about it. They decided, well, hey, I want the DOJ, I want House Ethics, I want all of these different entities to investigate now. So they did it at one time. Just asked all of these different, different entities to investigate.
So these agencies are obliging a complaint.
Yes.
Let's talk about your husband. Your husband, his name is Courtney Merritt. Yes. He's a military veteran. He's a military veteran. Why was he the choice that you made in terms of your personal security?
So what was happening, there were a lot of issues with us retaining just good staff. Mm-hmm. What was happening, we had, we couldn't pay the big costs for security like some of my colleagues are able to do. Yeah. And so we went with what we could afford. It worked out for a while, but then we started having call-offs, people just not showing up to work, people sleeping on the job. Yeah. And so it was very hard for me to have security when it was unreliable. And so what was happening was Courtney would fill in. He would volunteer. And sometimes he would even, even when he was there and they were working, he would say, hey, you should be standing over here. Right. Hey, you should be doing that. And so he was volunteering a lot of his time. Mm-hmm. And then we had someone who was kind of leading the group, leading the team who could no longer do it. One day just called and said, I won't be back for 3 months. Right. It left me in a position. There was no way I could manage a security team plus the work that I was doing. And so he was able to pick up that slack. And not only was he able to pick it up, he could handle all of it. I mean, he was an air assault soldier in the 101st Airborne. He had already worked for other companies working security, even as a supervisor. So this was in his lane. His
wheelhouse. And and obviously he's somebody you trust. I mean, you're someone who has had a lot of threats. Obviously, you're a very high profile Black Lives Matter activist turned Congresswoman. Talk about some of the sort of atmospherics around you.
Yeah. So prior to me entering Congress, I had a lot of threats on my life. I had even had times where there were actual, attempts made. Yeah. And I went to social media to talk about them because I didn't feel safe going anywhere else. So I would talk about what was happening to me on social media, even turned it into the FBI at one point, just making it documented that there are actual, threats on my life, attempts on my life. But even before I entered Congress, during orientation, I went to the House and talked about, like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing now. Yeah. Is there a way for you all to keep me safe in Congress?
And there are some members of Congress who are independently wealthy. Are you one of them?
No, I am not.
And that is the reason that you're trying to figure out a way to pay for it. I do want to play for you, and I apologize for making you have to listen to it. I'm sure you've listened to it before because I know you responded on social media to it. This is Congressman Troy Nehls of Texas. This is what he had to say about this situation and you. Take a listen.
She doesn't even support the police. But the idea to pay her thug money to try to help protect her, this and that, for what? Maybe if she wouldn't be so loud all the time, maybe she wouldn't be getting threats.
Are you saying she deserves to be threatened?
No, what I'm saying is that when you're out there talking the way she does, I'm surprised that people are probably pretty upset because she's a pretty radical. She's pretty radical. And maybe she should tone it down a little bit.
I'll just let you respond.
Absolutely ignorant, anti-Black, racist and sexist tropes by a sitting member of Congress who was a colleague. I have never even met this person. I've never even talked to him. And for him to spew something so disgusting, number one, to call my husband my thug, what qualifies him as a thug? What does he know about him to call him a thug? That is a dog whistle. And then also to tell me that, I'm being too loud. Me advocating for St. Louis is I'm being too loud. How about if you would have fixed the issues that St. Louis has? I wouldn't have to talk about it. I wouldn't have to fuss about it. But yes, I'm going to be loud, and that's okay. If I want to be loud, if I want to be quiet, that's my prerogative. Him putting his mouth on it just shows his, racism at its best.
Let me also ask you, because this is one of the issues, and we've talked about this on the show before. There is a bit of a campaign against members of, we call it the squad, but this is like the young progressives in Congress. A guy named Reid Hoffman. He is the co-founder of LinkedIn, for those of you who don't know who he is. He is a supporter of President Biden, but he recently gave $250,000 to a super PAC that's supporting Nikki Haley, and he's reportedly behind a primary campaign to oust Rashida Tlaib, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, and you. Your thoughts on this? Because it does seem that the person who is running against you, he's prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell. He has the opposite position as you do on Israel and Gaza. You've been very vocal about the Gaza issue. That has drawn a lot of attention, negative attention to you, and it seems now some pretty well-funded opposition. What do you make of this sort of campaign against not just you, but other progressives?
Well, we're not afraid of, the opposition that will pop up its head because we made principled policy stances. We are here to do what's right, what's necessary, not what's easy. We're not here to appease, big dollar donors. We're here to do what the people sent us here to do. And so I've fought this before. I've had this same principle stance for years. Mm-hmm. So I won on it in 2020. Yeah. I won again in 2022. The thing is this. Free Palestine. The thing is, we need a ceasefire now, and that's not going to change. And the thing is, most Democrats believe the same thing, that there needs to be a ceasefire.
Very quickly, we are out of time. The House Minority Leader did endorse Summer Lee, who's also facing a primary challenge on the same basis. Has he endorsed you?
Well, we haven't asked for the endorsement yet. Okay. We're still working on that. My race is in August. Hers is a lot earlier than mine.
Okay.
Yes.
Congresswoman Cori Bush, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here. Stay safe.